personal leadership is one of the most powerful in terms of what can create change within a person's life.
Okay.
And help that person create change within society. It all begins from personal leadership, right? And for me, the importance of personal leadership started when I started figuring out that I need to solve my own personal problems.
Okay. I love where this is going.
People say you have a serious face, you are always boning, and people are afraid of interaction with me. I used to stand in front of the mirror and learn how to smile. Okay. That's how much responsibility I needed to take. That's how much responsibility that it was that serious. Where people were saying, avoid that guy, he's always frowning among my group of friends. So when you come to that kind of point where people start avoiding you because of something that you can actually work on,
exactly,
and deal with, then you begin to look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, I need to make changes here, I need to make changes there. And that's how I started. Hello, my name is Joshua Triumphant, and I am one of the passionate few. And I just had a conversation with Jerry on the Jerrycan Show. We talked about leadership at the personal levels, at organizational level, and at social levels. The goal of the conversation was to present to you leadership insight that can help shape your personal leadership and shape your pursuit in everything that you are doing.
Hello, welcome to the Jerrycan Show right here. My name is Jerry, and I have with me Joshua Triumphant. He is a leadership guru or a leadership expert, and I'm so excited because we'll be discussing everything: leadership, and leadership. Joshua, it's been a while. Happy to have you.
Good to be here, man.
Yeah.
Good to be here.
Have you been?
Very well. I'm doing very great.
Of course, it shows. You're doing very well.
Doing great.
We have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
We have a lot of grounds to cover, but I always like doing this. How would you describe yourself in 3 words? Leadership,
Innovation, nation building.
Leadership, innovation, nation building. That's a good way to start. Okay, you're known for leadership, conversations around leadership.
Yeah.
Before we dive right into that, tell us about yourself.
Okay, my name is Joshua Triumphant. I've spent the last close to 10 years of my life focusing on human capital development, conversations around leadership, about personal growth, personal development, and stuff like that. So that's what I've spent the most part of my adult life focusing my energy on. The other thing in the last 3 years has been building a tech business, where I currently work as a product manager on that front. I'm a family person. I grounded family guy, married, 2 kids. I live here in the city of Port Harcourt, but I'm from Benue State. What else? That's pretty much everything about me. I live, breathe, and think daily around how we can support the humans around us with knowledge, resource, with as much capital development as possible for the advancement of their own life. So that's pretty much everything about me and what I'm about.
All right, thank you very much. Now, when it comes to leadership, I'm a big believer that everything rises and falls on leadership. And I believe, first of all, there's personal leadership. There's also leadership that has to do with leading a team. And there's also leadership of leading a movement. Let's start with personal leadership. What is personal leadership to you? How would you describe it? And when did you realize that, this is a calling for you? Like the whole thing, how personal it is for you?
So the thing with personal leadership is personal leadership is one of the most powerful in terms of what can create change within a person's life. And help that person create change within society. It all begins from personal leadership, right? And for me, the importance of personal leadership started when I started figuring out that I need to solve my own personal problems.
Okay. I love where this is going.
Nobody is going to come and save me. Everybody around
the box
me,
stops on your table.
Everybody around me has done the best they can do for me. My parents have sent me to school.
I get it.
Everybody has done, to a certain degree. You come to a point as an adult male, as an adult man, or as an adult woman, by what society defines as adult, because your adulthood does not start at 25. Society acknowledges that you are an adult at 18.
I'm with you.
Right? So you come to a point in your own life where you realize, I have to solve my personal problems. Do I have communication issues? Am I 22 and I'm saying I'm shy, I can't talk in public? Am I 35 and I'm saying I don't know how to communicate my things in my head for people to believe me and work with me? Do I have anger issues? Do I carry a sense of lack and scarcity in my mind?
Okay.
Do I move around thinking that the whole world is against me? Right? You come to a point in your life in those times where you say, I have to solve these problems. That if I will become anything tangible on this earth, if I will command the attention and the respect of anybody of value, I have to solve my problem. It is that responsibility, taking that responsibility and acknowledging that I have solved my problem. That is where you begin the journey of saying, personal leadership starts from here.
Okay.
How do I become better? How do I produce value? How do I discover vision? How do I build discipline? That is where the starting point of the development of personal leadership begins from. Solving your own personal problems and becoming a person of value.
I loved how you touched on, people coming to a place in their life where they realize that whatever deficiencies or, certain lack they have in their life, they are responsible for, they have to take ownership, first of all, acknowledge that, okay, no one is coming to rescue me and I have to do this myself. They said acceptance is very difficult, but when you get to accept that this is what it is, then you can now move,
make changes.
Make changes. Let's come to your personal life. At what point and place in your personal life did you realize that, boy, it's up to me right now? Is there a life story or something that happened that, brought you to that place of realization and you had to take it up from there?
For me, there was never really one dramatic moment.
Okay.
It was just a series of events that led to the acknowledgement and the responsibility that I began to take on myself.
So sometimes it just compounds over time. It's not like it's not
one. A lot of some people have a very, very one-time dramatic bad moment, like a heartbreak, or a betrayal, or a business disappointment, or a failure in business. That can create that moment for others. But for me, it was just like a series of events, watching life, watching things change around the people around me, and watching how I felt stuck and how I felt like if nothing in my life was working. And then I had to then begin to, take account, okay, if these things are going to change, what do I need to change? I realized, I am a terrible communicator. Okay. Because at that time, I couldn't, I don't have the right words to express what I want to express. I walk around and people say, even till now, I still get a bit of piece of that. People say, you have a serious face, you are always boning. And people are afraid of interaction with me. I used to stand in front of the mirror and learn how to smile. Okay. That's how much responsibility I needed to take. That's how much responsibility, it was that serious. People were saying, avoid that guy, he's always frowning, among my group of friends. So when you come to that kind of point where people start avoiding you because of something that you can actually work on
exactly,
and deal with, then you begin to look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, I need to make changes here, I need to make changes there. And that's how I started. And it's been an upward journey ever since.
Okay, for some persons watching this, let's talk about leadership in the organizational structure.
Yeah.
In an organization, there's hierarchy.
Yeah, of course.
And the organizational construct. How would you define leadership within an organization, and how can people navigate the construct or the structure in an organization as regards leadership?
So within an organization, leadership is about a couple of things. It's about is about achieving the goal of the organization. Because the entire leadership construction within the organization is set up to achieve a goal, long and short.
Okay. I'll get to the bottlenecks later. Go ahead.
The whole point of people coming together to work together within an organization is because
it's an end goal.
It's an end goal. It can be to make profit, to make sure the profit statement at the end of the year is positive, or which at the end of the day, that's always the primary goal. Of course, there is a big goal and then there are sub goals within that context. So every organization is set up by primarily to achieve a set of goals. So the leadership focus within the organization is how to mobilize resources, mobilize people, and mobilize energy in that direction. Every other thing is just distraction.
Now, let's start with a distraction. I'm very comfortable with the bottlenecks because sometimes the organization might wants to achieve this set of goals, but you know how we say in our local parlance, Oga at the top. Yeah. Some persons have their own wahala at home that they bring to the office, and some persons, some leaders might just want to frustrate the life out of you. Some persons view leadership through the lens of the title, the CEO, the manager, and all of that, and you don't even realize that the way they carry themselves, or the way their approach to the job is also affecting the end result. And for some persons that are at the lower kid of the ladder or the lower echelon, they feel frustrated with bosses. All of those things, that frustration, how can it be handled?
So there are so many ways to, if you find yourself in an organization where you feel like the leaders in the organization have a vision, but because that's the thing, the crisis in leadership means that a person can have an organization. For instance, let me use a very good example. For let's say the skill required, the primary skill that drives the revenue in that business can be, for instance, let me use a skill that one person can learn. Let's say photography.
Okay.
So this guy had one camera, started one camera, started taking pictures, became big, became known in the city. Then he needed a studio, he set up a studio, he needed people to run it, to put people together. Now, that guy, when he had only one camera, was efficient. You call him, we're wedding on Saturday, time, date, fix, bam. He comes, shoots, and he leaves. The moment he comes to a point where he gathers people together, there is a leadership skill required for efficiency at that level. Now, the absence of that leadership skill will create problem for him and people working with him.
Because the vision has not been cascaded down to...
So you need to... So that's why leadership at those levels is a skill. Once people come together, it goes beyond your personal competence. And that is where and I'm going to answer that question. That is where a lot of leaders have the issue. A lot of leaders have the issue because your personal competence can get you to a level where you build an organization. But that personal competence will not be enough.
Exactly.
To be able to manage those people and then achieve the goals that you want to achieve.
Okay.
Then you have to learn leadership. Now, if you are within a lower level of that type of a system, you have a couple of options. Number one, I always say, review whether or not you want to stay there.
Okay.
If you know personally that you want to stay there, then you have to then learn what I call, or John Maxwell owns that word, at least it's one of his things that he teaches a lot. It's what is called the 360 leadership.
Okay.
So there is leading upwards, there is leading downwards, and there is leading across.
Sideways.
Now, if you have a boss who you believe is inefficient or ineffective, you have two jobs for you. You have to do your job, then you have to manage upwards as well. So
in essence, also, someone down has to do his or her job and also manage, you have
to manage the so-called incompetence or ineffectiveness of your upline.
Some uplines might also see it as like you're trying to make me look bad in front of, some persons, their egos get in the way.
So that's the thing, and that's what I'm saying. I'm premising it by saying, if you are certain, you have done your estimation, you are realizing that I am in a badly run organization.
Okay.
It means that you cannot expect things to work the way they work in a well-run organization. Now, if you feel the need to remain in an organization that you have identified as a badly run organization, it means you have to augment for so many things. And by doing that, your leadership has to be impeccable, even on that level. Otherwise, you are just going to be part of that system, and that is it. But if you want to stand out, or you want to at least manage your own job, your own role, and your own effectiveness in a way that doesn't affect your own self and doesn't affect your job, then there are a few things you have to do. You have to understand the temperament and the context of your boss. 1, 2, you have to be able to identify that no matter what your boss says, he himself is a victim within that system.
Okay.
No matter what he says. Again, I'm saying number one, all these things have to be true for what I'm saying to be true. One thing has to be true. It has to be true that you are a leader yourself. 1, 2. It also has to be true that you are sure that the organization is badly run. 3, it has to be true that your leader is ineffective. Now, when those 3 things are true, then you have to adjust. That adjustment means that you must be able to understand that the person who is talking is not talking out of proper leadership education. The person is talking based on a type of weakness in his character, or a type of competence in his leadership, incompetence in his leadership,
okay,
or an ineffectiveness in his personal life. You have to be able to separate that from the matter on ground.
Okay.
It requires a type of wisdom leading upwards. Leading upwards means that I'm in an organization, I'm getting paid. This person that is ineffective is not paying me.
Okay.
You understand? This person that is so-called incompetent, is the person still paying me? So because you are still a part of the organization, you must apply yourself across certain principles that gives you guardrail. I'm here for a while, or I'm here no matter what. Okay, then what do I have to do to find peace and to get my job done in a way that I don't go home and start getting mad?
All right, we'll go on a quick break right now, and when we return, we'll continue this conversation. It's the Jerrycan Show. Keep it locked. And yes, welcome right back. It's the Jerrycan Show. My name is Jerry, and I have Joshua Triumphant. And we're still talking the 360 leader. I love where you were going with that conversation, leading upward, leading downward, leading sideways. So you've talked about the upwardness of leadership. Let's talk about the sideways of it, because sometimes as a worker or a colleague, your boss might be fantastic, but you also have colleagues that their egos get in the way, jealousy, and there's a lot of things in an organization that sometimes I am like, do people even understand why they're there in the first place? Because their egos get in the way. So let's touch on the sideways, leading sideways.
So leading sideways is, you think leading upward is difficult, but leading sideways is also as difficult as it can be as well. Because the thing is, your colleague or people on your level, you have to earn their trust.
Okay.
In so many ways. They are under no obligation to listen to you because you are both on the same level.
Ego is the enemy. But go ahead, I'm enjoying this. Ego is the enemy.
They are under no obligation to listen to you because you are not above them. And this is where strong personal leadership principles come into play. Why? Because for the purpose of this conversation, because we can't go into the whole detail, one simple thing you can begin to apply is to, if you are a leader within an organization and your colleagues, you are trying to lead among your colleagues sideways, you have to learn the principle of crediting people's emotional accounts.
Okay, you'll really expand on that.
Yeah, so it means that no matter in which country, which nation, where you are in the world, right? If there's money in your account and you go to the bank, you would always withdraw it.
Yeah.
If there's money in your account, you pick your ATM card, you put it in an ATM machine, you put it in the machine, and you point in everything, money is going to come out. It goes the same way for your colleagues, right? What you want to do is to make sure that in your colleagues' life or in their work that they are doing, you must have emotional value in their account, so that by the time you are talking, you are able to withdraw something from them.
Thank you so much. You're the second person in this live that I've talked about this accounting. I heard it first from Dr. Patrick Oduma. He talked about life account.
Yeah.
And he gave an analogy of you have to deposit something first
before
you withdraw.
deposit something.
I think I'm beginning to understand that people sometimes try to make withdrawal when they're not depositing anything.
Especially among your colleagues.
Okay.
Among people who
it's really making sense to me right now.
Among people who you have no positional authority over, you have to negotiate correctly in depositing things for them. If you want to build trust with them, you have to deposit trust with them. If you want to build rapport with them, you have to deposit it. You have to allow time. You have to invest in that relationship so that when it's time to make withdrawals, when something comes up and you're trying to get their say so, or you're trying to mobilize them for a particular goal, it is what you have deposited across all your colleagues that you can withdraw on. Some people are very talented in this thing in the sense that they always have a card to play in people's life, because when people need them, they're always there. They show themselves to be friendly, so people are friendly towards them. They show themselves to be kind, so people are kind towards them. They show themselves to be trustworthy, so people are trustworthy towards them. They show themselves to be responsive, so people are always responsive towards them. You have to be able to manage that correctly while doing your job and achieving the goals that you have to achieve.
Thank you so much. I think I can even end the show here. The thing about the show is I'm also learning. Yeah. And when you talked about this account and making deposit, you struck something right. You really struck a chord. Now, again, still leading sideways.
Yeah.
Ego, personality. Some persons have very domineering personality that they bring to the table, and they want you to just submit and all of that. We'll touch on that. Then we'll touch on leadership traits that people should have or pay attention to, or cultivate or nurture. What are those traits that people that wants to lead, whether upward or sideways or downward? What are the traits that they should start paying attention to?
So there are so many laws of interpersonal leadership, types of leadership within organizations, leadership within groups. I'll just say a few ones that I feel like are very essential.
Okay.
So one of the most underrated law of leadership within groups is the law of love. So the law of love is a person's ability to see people and things not the way they are, but the way they should be.
Okay.
Yeah, it's closely related to vision, but it's not really vision in itself. It's having the correct sense of the world from inside of you, and then you project that into people, right? Where you can be in a space where something about somebody just feels very pleasant. There are people you will meet that are very...
people that even come into an environment and they lift up atmosphere. Of course, you can just feel it. Yes.
You see that there's nothing inside of them that wants to frustrate others. They are genuinely, when they are even in communication with people, they are genuinely interested in the person
first.
You can have a conversation with a person and you leave that person. You go home and you remember the conversation like, this person made me feel seen and heard.
Yeah, it was my Angela that said people will forget what you say, but they will never forget how you made them feel.
So it is a mindset, it's a law of leadership working inside of you that you carry along. It's a law of love. It's that selflessness that you carry into every room. So I feel like every leader within a group, I encourage that you be the person who gives others that feeling. Okay. Not the person who wants to dampen the room. Not the person who wants to argue for the sake of argument. They are going left. You know that left is right. But because of ego, like you said, let's go, you just want to go right for nothing. When they ask you, okay, I always say that there's a difference between being a strong-willed person and being a stubborn person. Being a strong-willed person is by education. It means you are making an educated stand about something that is right or something that is wrong. So being stubborn is just arguing for the sake of arguing, insisting for the sake of insisting, and when they present you with solid facts, you are still going to continue in that course of action without any purpose or any reason. right? So I feel like be the person who brings the light into the room. For me, is one of the most powerful roles or powerful laws of leadership anybody can embrace. Another powerful law of leadership that I feel like is also very essential within groups in your organization for your upward downwards is the law of communication.
Okay.
I always say that the goal of communication must be to bring the best out in others and to produce the best result possible within the purpose of that communication, right? So as a leader, whether upwards, whether downwards, whether across board, you must be able to communicate clearly. You must be able to communicate clearly. I feel like one of the most irresistible force on the earth is a person. One of the most irresistible force on the earth is a force of well-articulated conversations, where somebody listens to you, they are able to see clearly what you are trying to get them to see. You paint pictures properly. You know when to be high, when to be low. You know, you have the tact in terms of how to go about a conversation. You have the skill in terms of the right words to use. You understand how to get people, bring people into your world, or help people get deeper into their own world. I feel like the law of love and law of communication, even if it's the first two, is just those two laws are very powerful principles of leadership that I feel like any leader in any room needs.
Thank you so much. You're just dropping nuggets here, there. Can we before we touch on social leadership, the cadence, when it has to do with leadership, the cadence, if you understand what I'm trying to go, can you touch on that as a leader?
Explain a bit.
You touched on, let's say, someone, what's the last point you talked about now?
The law of love, the law of communication.
Yeah, the law of communication, where a leader knows when to go high and knows when to go low. That's like cadence.
Okay, so yeah.
So you come into a place, you see that sixth sense, that's, how do you bring that to the table, and how do you, how do you make sense?
So this is the thing. So a leader must have you must have very strong people skills.
Okay.
Law of love and law of communication, they're all people skills. You must have very strong people skills, very solid people skills. Because there are sometimes you have to raise your voice. And there's sometimes you don't need to raise your voice.
Okay.
It is the person who knows the difference in those times that is a real leader. Because
I'm glad. I love where this is going right now.
Because if you lead a team and your mood is the mood of the team. When you are frowning, everybody is afraid. When you are laughing, everybody is happy. When you are sad, the whole team is sad. That's terrible leadership. Because in the end, you have to be able to differentiate your team from yourself, right? So being able to identify the communication need per time is also a very powerful leadership law and leadership principles, right? So you have to be able to understand, okay, I have to go low now because this is a low stake. When it's a low stake, nothing is at stake. Why am I shouting?
Okay.
It's a high stake means, okay, something is at stake. For instance, if you have a child that is going through something, a dangerous thing, that's not when you start saying, come now. Yeah. That's not when you say, come now, come. Oh, baby, no. That's when you shout.
What's at stake?
That's when you shout, come, leave that place. You understand? Even if it's not a child. Somebody's on the road and the person cannot see that the person is walking into a vehicle. What do? You alert the person, right? So the person who knows, the leader who knows the context and what is needed. This is a low stake environment. Let's keep it calm. Let's discuss. This is a high stake environment. A lot is at stake. Let's raise the tempo. Do you understand? You are trying to motivate a room and you are talking in a low tone, one monotone voice. No,
yeah.
You are trying to get people to buy into something. You express it. Your eyes has to show it. Your hands have to move. That is how leaders inspire people with their words.
Again, we'll go on a quick break right now. When we return, we'll continue this conversation. My name is Jerry. It's the Jerrycan Show. Hello, welcome back. My name is Jerry. It's the Jerrycan Show, and Joshua Triumphant is my guest. And we've been talking about leadership. We've talked about organizational leadership. We've touched on personal leadership. It's time for us to touch on social leadership. I said this before, that everything rises and falls on leadership. When we get our leadership right, I think everything will begin to fall, right. Let's touch on social leadership. The definition, and you can just run with it.
Okay, so in terms of social leadership impacts on like our communities, our nation, and politics and all that. For that, right? It's something that I've thought about. Of course, you cannot be in our country and not worry about things like that unless you are not alive. What we have experienced in the last 20, 30 years, it's a crisis of leadership in that space, right? It's a real crisis of leadership. And there are people who have no hope anymore when it comes to the idea of, can this country change? Can we experience development? Can we experience change at that level? As a leader, you are a merchant of hope. So you can never really accept that nothing can change. So I always say that I do believe that we can experience change, but not in the conventional sense, right?
Okay.
Not in the conventional sense, in that it has to be more long term. Our approach has to be long term. We have to look at it in terms of not that that the change can happen in the next election cycle. It means that a mass of young leaders will have to be responsible for the production of such change, and it cannot be it cannot happen on its own, right? So the more personal leadership we develop, and that is at the base of my own personal mission. It underpins part of why I do what I do across multiple spaces, right?
So it's like getting the family right, and it transcends into the society.
So we cannot.
So we have to get things right first with us.
We have to build a critical mass of solid leaders. And we say this. You can say this kind of thing. People look at you like, what are you talking about? Are you the first person to say it? That's the point. We have to, no matter how disappointed you are,
of course,
how hopeless you feel in terms of how can Nigeria change.
I understand.
The thing is, for Nigeria to change, this is what has to happen. Now, we have to do it across critical spaces as well. Number one, we have to do it within the religious spaces. Because there are spaces within this country that are pillar spaces that shape how the event in this country works. Right? We have to do it within the religious space. We have to do it within the political space. We have to do it within the academic space. And we have to do it within what I call the entertainment space.
Okay.
Those spaces on their own does not feel like they move the needle. Apart from, like, say, the political space where everybody gets distracted about, like the next election cycle. Politicians will always be politicians. Politicians are politicians across the world. But leaders are the difference makers. All right? So if you run an organization or you are in that space, you are in those political spaces, or you are in an NGO, or you are in a space that works directly with politicians or in that political space, your responsibility, I believe, is to develop leadership competency that drives practical, deliverable change in that space. And I feel like there are many young people doing amazing things right now. In all my years, teaching leadership and discussing leadership, part of the joy I've had in the last 2-3 years has been seeing more young people getting more interested.
Yeah, exactly.
So it is that type of numbers that give me hope. It's that type of sight that give me hope. More young people are raising their hand to get counted. More female, more young people. In a country where 60% of us, the population is below, they say below 20 or below 25. It's an amazing statistic to have, knowing that there are young people that we can influence right now that will provide a different leadership perspective and approach going forward.
And I'm really happy you touched on the numbers and how exciting and how hopeful it is when you look at the numbers, because people sometimes get distracted with social media and they get distracted with the noise, but it's knowing that these little things here and there are what are they're moving the needles, and it just gives hope. Well, it's a flicker of hope, but it just gives hope that things can and will turn around in this nation called Nigeria. It's unfortunate that for some persons, they've, how the Jaguar syndrome when it came, and but this is the only place we have and we call home. And for us, we will keep fighting, we'll keep talking, and we'll keep echoing it that this is home for us, and things will definitely change. Well, gradually winding down. The next question I have is, for someone listening right now, what's the one thing they can start doing today that will, help in their leadership journey? Whether it's personal leadership, whether it's social leadership, whether it's organizational leadership, whatever is stratosphere. What's the one thing? Where can they begin? What's the one thing they can do?
In terms of one single thing right now, at any level you are in, at any place you are in, at any time in your journey, that can contribute meaningfully to your life and your leadership right now, is knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah. You have to solve your ignorance problem. No matter where you are, especially if you are a young person trying to figure out what your next step should be, you need knowledge. Because leadership flows in the direction of knowledge. The person with the most knowledge in any room will lead that room. For the most part, at least at the beginning, the person with the most knowledge in any room has the highest chance to lead that room. So give yourself a pedestal to stand on above everybody by investing in making sure that you are reducing the level of ignorance in your life, especially within the space that you want to play. Win the ignorance problem. Solve your ignorance problem. It is the most important starting point, because the more knowledge you bring into your life, the more light and sight you have.
Boy, this is so good. Go on.
The more knowledge you bring into your life, the more light and sight you have. The more you can see on this earth, the more you can see things that others are ignoring, the more opportunities you can create. And that is what leadership at personal levels means. That's what leadership at organizational levels means. The more you can see, everybody can walk across this area and not see an opportunity. The person with more light and has insight, what happens is the person goes to that same place and
comes up with something.
Right? So, in terms of one single thing you can start right now that will bring value into your life, knowledge.
Add another one. This is so good. I just added another one. And maybe another one.
So at once you are winning the battles of the ignorance, it presents you with such a unique perspective to the world, right? Because you are seeing that, this ignorance problem has affected me in so many ways. Then the next thing, you then begin to take responsibilities for making changes. Because it's one thing to have the knowledge. It's another thing to translate that into actionable steps that you can begin to take.
Execution.
So then you get to do a law of action. Oh, okay. I need to change this, I need to change that. You change that. Okay. Then at once you start taking responsibility. The next thing is you would need to, depending on what level you are in, if you are starting out, you would need to then do a critical vision analysis for yourself.
Okay.
So vision analysis means, who am I? And by who I am, who can I be?
Okay.
Do you understand? I know the popular vision is the picture of the future of those things. They are nice things to say.
What about SWOT analysis and all of that?
So
strengths, weaknesses.
Yeah, so those things are also, they are the direct effect of a person who is getting knowledge. So self-analysis is nice, but I always say that the better thing is self-awareness.
Okay.
Especially at personal levels, right? The better thing is like self-awareness, right? Self-awareness is on 3 levels. Number 1, it's knowledge of self. 2, knowledge of the environment in which you are playing in. 3, how those 2 knowledge interacts to produce the highest value for yourself. So knowledge of self, knowledge of the environment you are in, and knowledge of the world, knowledge of the environment, knowledge of your locality, though every knowledge in terms of the space you are playing, how things work, how things function. It means knowledge of, for instance, knowing that you cannot swim on your own terms. You have to learn how to swim. And so you have to have knowledge of swimming in that sense. So that's what I'm saying. So knowledge of the space you're trying to play in, knowledge of the space you are in, knowledge of your local, then how the knowledge of yourself and the knowledge of your local interact to provide the highest level of value that you can achieve.
Okay, I just remembered something. There's a book I read. I had to go back to it. It talks about temperament, the phlegmatic, sanguine, choleric, and all of that. So, how do people understand this temperament and how it affects, or it brings to their leadership? Let's just touch on that.
I'm going to say something extreme. And the extreme thing I'm going to say before I explain it is that temperament has nothing to do with leadership.
But you talk about awareness.
So the thing is, self-awareness goes beyond temperaments.
Okay, so go on.
All right, so the thing is, for the most people, when they hear temperament, they think about like they have a type of resolve around sort of like who they are. They say they are phlegmatic, they are sanguine, they are choleric, or they are melancholic.
Yeah.
Right? In itself, the principles of leadership teaches you, right, that who you are, right, as long as it's not serving the purpose of your leadership, you can change it.
Okay, we'll go deep on that, but
who you are, as long as, for instance, if you say, and I always say this, that your personalities are not excuses, they are only tools. And the moment your personality, your so-called personality becomes an excuse, then it's not serving you. I see no reason why a person will say, I am unable to speak in public because I'm phlegmatic. And then the whole point of that knowledge is useless. If the cause that you are pursuing, if your pursuit on the earth requires you to speak in public, on no ground should your temperament be the reason why you claim to not be able to. It means you are just opposing that knowledge in a way that is now making you ineffective, and that cannot be the purpose of that knowledge.
Okay, yeah, it's beginning to make sense right now.
That's the point I'm trying to make here, right?
It's beginning to make sense right now.
Knowledge of a temperament is not the end. It's only showing you things that you need to develop in the context of your pursuit.
Okay.
So a person who says, so it means that a person who discovered that he's choleric or is sanguine, he's sanguine is the upbeat public person. A person who is sanguine then
choleric is assertive.
Yeah, a person who is sanguine is then does that mean that a sanguine person does not mean you have leadership ability?
I understand.
Do you understand? So even if you are sanguine, and I always say that this temperament thing is just about energy management. It's just to identify where, especially with introversion and extroversion as well, is really about where you gain energy and where you lose energy. An extroverted person gains energy in public. An introverted person gains energy in private. An extroverted person
ambivert.
An extroverted person loses energy in private.
Yeah, I get it.
An introverted person gains energy in private. So these are the things that self-awareness helps you identify. They help to identify which of the divide you belong to. not so you can accept them as your definitions.
Yeah.
But you can identify them and then know areas you need to develop to help you improve overall on your leadership. So if you are an introvert, you have to understand what leadership means to an introvert. You have to understand what leadership means to an introvert as an introvert. So these are all the things that you have to apply yourself properly on, or apply yourself properly in terms of the knowledge of those things.
Okay.
So that you know what you are, you know what you need to learn, and then where you need to improve your leadership.
All right, thank you very much. That was very apt. We're going to quick break right now, and when we return, of course, we'll continue the conversation right here on the Jerrycan Show. Keep it locked. Okay, welcome back. It's still the Jerrycan Show. My name is Jerry, and it's time for the rapid fire question right here with my guest. So if you're ready, I'm good for you.
All right.
The first question is this: who is the greatest leader you personally look up to, and why?
That would be my parents, because they went through deep personal sacrifices to give me and my brothers the best they could afford.
Okay.
I owe them a debt of gratitude for that.
Okay. What if you were to get stuck, or if you're stuck in an elevator with any leader, dead or alive, for 3 or 5 minutes, who would that be, and what's the question you would, ask of them?
I have so many leaders I would like to ask so many questions. Historically, I think one of the ones that died too soon for me would be Fred Hampton.
Okay.
Fred Hampton was the founder of the Black Panther Party in America, in Chicago. He started at 17 and he died at 21.
Wow.
And his thoughts were very revolutionary, and it changes. If you ask me this question again in the next 2 hours, I might pick another person.
I understand.
Because I study leaders across history, and I would like to get a sense of sort of like what fueled them. And my question for him would be, why did you? Because he knew he was going to die, and he still stayed and he did that, and I found his life very interesting. So that's all I can remember right now, because I just read about him 2 days ago again.
Interesting. What's one leadership lesson you learned the hard way?
One leadership lesson I learned the hard way is that your personal deprivation will eat up all of your best intention.
Can you expand on that?
So your personal deprivation is the things in your life that you lack. Let's say something you lack growing up, or something it's something you like that you lack, right? When you get into leadership, the first temptation is to use your leadership to collect it.
We see that happen today, and more especially in the political sphere. Yeah. We see that happen with our leaders. They get in there and the mindset is grab as much as you can, because just one policy or whatever can change anything. And it's very disturbing. It's really disturbing.
Learning that the hard way was early in my leadership, getting into leadership position and realizing that if I don't change this, I'm going to destroy the people I'm leading.
Okay. Leadership in one word, how would you define or describe it?
Change.
Best leadership book you've ever read?
The best leadership book I ever read is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Actually, that's the best book I've ever read.
Stephen Covey. Okay, one Nigerian leader you'd love to have lunch with?
One Nigerian leader
yeah.
I would have loved to have lunch with would be Ojukwu.
I really want to know.
You want to? I mean, I would like to know why he went to war.
Okay, that's interesting.
Not the reason why, not the general reason.
I understand.
Not what I've read. Why I would have loved to know why he went to war, just to get a sense of where he was.
The toughest part of being a leader.
The toughest part of being a leader is having to make hard choices, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah. When you have to make hard choices that the person you are making the hard choices for is not aware or does not even see that you have to make those choices. You have to make that choice. You have to explain to the person. You have to stand your ground. It's very safe. It's not a very great place to be.
Can we also talk about it as regards parenting, being a father and all of that?
Yeah, it's part of it. So it applies. There's family leadership as well. Yeah.
All right. So most rewarding part of being a leader?
Seeing people's life transform.
Introvert or extrovert leaders, who makes better leaders?
I'm an introvert, so I always say introvert leaders.
I beg to differ, but it's okay.
That's why I didn't say, I didn't answer. I said because I'm an introvert, I always say introvert leaders.
So one thing every bad leader does.
One thing every bad leader does.
Yes.
Is saying they are doing it for your own good.
Okay. I actually didn't see that. Can you expand on
that? It's rapid fire. That's because in spite of the result that is on ground, all bad leaders will say that they are doing it for their own good.
I think that's a takeaway. Let's talk about your daily leadership ritual.
I think one thing I would say for my daily leadership ritual is that I learn a new thing every day.
Okay, yeah. I had someone said to me a very long time, I said, read even if it's a page a day. And so for me, that's something I do. I always try to read, even if it's one page a day. So what's the most underrated leadership quality?
The most underrated leadership quality is quietness.
Okay. One quote you live by?
One quote I live by. A lot of what counts is not counted. A lot of what is counted doesn't count.
That's very deep. Leadership, born or made? Which one? A leader's born or made?
Made. Leaders are not born.
Who leads better, elders or millennials?
Elders or millennials? None of them.
It's okay. What's harder, leading yourself or leading others?
Leading yourself is harder.
Okay. What's the biggest leadership myth you'd love to bust?
Biggest leadership myth that I would love to bust. That's interesting. Biggest leadership myth I would love to bust is that just because you start an organization means that you know how to lead.
Okay, yeah, I think it's people getting to that place where they understand that there are visionaries and integrators and all
just
of that.
Because God gave you a vision and you start a church, just because you have a skill that blew up and then you start an organization, just because you are the first person into an industry and then you started in that industry, whatever, just because you start anything does not mean you have the leadership skills to build it.
I think it's humbling, recognizing that.
Very humbling. Yeah. Very, very humbling.
In this part of the climb,
it's very, very humbling.
People are caught out in this type of title. Let's move on right now. A habit you're proud of as a leader?
A habit I'm proud of as a leader. My ability to ask questions.
Okay. What's one mistake every young leader should avoid?
What's one mistake every young leader should avoid? Don't overestimate the value of leadership. The value of your own leadership.
Okay. If you weren't doing leadership work, what would you be doing?
If I wasn't doing leadership work, I would... Never thought about it.
Okay. So think about it right now.
I'll be at home with my kids.
Okay. The last one is you have to fill in the blank. A great leader always dash.
A great leader always a great leader always see people and events not the way it is, but the way it should be.
Okay, sees people not the way, an event not the way it is?
Sees people and things not just the way it is, but the way it should be.
Okay, that's seeing into the future.
Vision.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time. I really do appreciate. The last part of the show is you get to end. I open the show, you get to close the show. So just close the show your own way.
All right. So I hope that you've been able to get insight that can help shape your leadership, grow your capacity, and help you do all the things that you like to do with your life on the earth. So happy to have done this with my friend Jerry, and it's the Jerrycan Show. See you at the next one.
Thank you very much.